Hello everyone, welcome to Smart Investing. Let's seize the time for an update. Market update is a long time. I've never done an update, so I think things are doing really well. Let's have a look at it. If you look at the QQQ, we are almost touching all-time highs. We are just close to 1.5% of all-time high. And the setup is incredible because you can see since the gap up from the 200 moving average, we actually never really gap filled this gap up. And this is quite incredible because I thought that we'll first test the 200 moving average again before we go to all-time high and then we break out. But this is not happening. We're actually seeing a very strong market despite all the political noise, the war between Israel and Iran, the Gaza things. What is happening with the tariff? Everything is thrown at the market, and the market keeps going up and up and up and up and up. This is showing an extremely powerful dynamic and extremely powerful momentum. I mean, you can't find this type of momentum since the low of April. Can you believe that? Since the low of April. Now we are already 32% up for the QQQ. That's extraordinary. If you followed my advice when I told you to buy as much as you can when the VIX was at the highest, today you would have done 33% in just a matter of 1 month and a half. So again, congratulations to those who understand how the market works over the long term and who understand actually that it's very possible to time the bottom. Actually, it's so possible that it has always been the case since the crisis of the dot-com bubble of 2000. Each time the VIX reached above 50, if you buy systematically, you would outperform dramatically when the market recovers. And again, today, we have a great day of 1.26. Last week, we had a bit of retracement because of what was happening with Israel and Iran. But you can see the market is just incredibly good, you know. Let's go to the SPY. Same thing, very close to all-time high, close to 1%, close to all-time high. Are we going to break out, or are we going to touch the all-time high and then probably we trace back to the 200 moving average then after breakout? Who knows? Really, the market is so strong, you know. The market is so strong, and the volume is so strong also. Look at the volume here, you know. At the point of control, you know, the volume is extremely high at 588. When the market was the bottom, nobody wanted to buy. You look at this, the volume is very low and the market is at the bottom. But the market now is close to all-time high. Everybody is rushing to buy. Isn't it incredible that you always have the same thing? When everything is cheap, nobody want to buy. When everything go back to very expensive, everybody want to buy. You know, this is a very important lesson you need to learn. You need to learn that psychology in a market is very important. You need to understand the deep psychology of the market. You can see TLT is not moving at all, still at the bottom, the lowest level since more than a decade, you know. Look at that. You have to go back 2008 to see this type of level for TLT. Can you believe that? It's just insane, you know. And this, what is this telling you? This is telling you the market doesn't see at all the Fed cutting rate anytime soon. Despite that we have a controlled inflation, despite that we have a good employment market, not a dramatically improving employment market, but still at a very good level, you know. So I think there is ample room to decrease rate, but somehow the Fed doesn't want to touch rate, doesn't want to touch rate at all. Is this politically driven? Is it something that they are worried about, something that we don't know? Then at least still hovering around the 5%. 5% on the 20 years and 30 years, and we are at 4.5% on the 10 years. Just incredible, you know? This level of return for a risk-free rate, you know, this is crazy, you know? And still the tech sector is still ramping up and going very strongly up, you know? You look at Max 7. So if you look at Max 7, let me see. Year to date, Still a fair bit, very close to all-time high as well, you know. Very, very strong recovery on the Max 7. Already up close to 40%, 40% in 1 month and a half. Can you believe that, guys? You are close to 7% from all-time high. But still 40% increase from the low of April. 40% in 1 month and a half, guys. 40%. It's just incredible comeback, you know. An incredible comeback. And some of the stocks are doing extremely well today. Look at that. AMD, you know, AMD is breaking out, finally breaking out the 120 level. Breaking out finally the 200 moving average. Is this a new trend for AMD, you know? If it clearly breaks out the 200 moving average, that could be a good sign that it will come back very, very soon to all-time high of $219 a share. We have actually some couple of analyst upgrade. That's the reason why the stock is going extremely high. They had this AI event a couple of days ago where actually we're talking about the new chip coming in the market and the importance of inference and so on. I think it's probably the subject for a new video, but just bear in mind that AMD is going extremely, extremely strong. And if you remember, the low of April was 80, now it's 130. You talk about almost a 50% increase in 1 month and a half. Yeah, more than that is a 60% increase in 1 month and a half. Can you just believe that? Just believe that. This is just incredible, you know. Palantir still going up. Palantir is just defying all the financial book and all the everything that you must know about valuation of a company. This company is just defying gravity. To me, just doesn't make sense, but still going up and up and up and up and up, you know. You are just waiting it for it to collapse, but it's still going up and up and up and up and up. Leave me your comment. What do you think about Palantir? This is insane. You know, we are talking about a ratio of 590 price to earning ratio. Just unbelievable, you know, but never mind. SMCI still hovering around the 443. Still doing quite well. Nice setup. I think we should probably go to the 50 very soon and probably break out to the 70. Probably the next earning. Bitcoin now around 108,000. 108,000. Just reaching the all-time high. You see, touch it 3 times. 1 time, 2, 3 times, 4 times almost. US dollar still reaching a high never seen since 2022. So the dollar is depreciating against the euro despite having the highest interest rate of the developed market. This is also what is puzzling me, because normally the US should strengthen a lot because it has much higher interest rate and it pays much better on the US dollar than any other developed currencies. But somehow, because of the political aspect, then people are fleeing the dollar. But be careful about the reversal, you know. Be careful about the reversal, because the point of control is 1.8, 1.10, and it should revert back to that level. It has been trading at that level since 2022, so I don't see why it's trading so low, you know. Anyway, IWM not moving, still above the 210. We are just waiting it to break out above the 200 moving average, and if it broke beyond the 200 moving average, then I think it will go back to all-time high, or at least it will go back to the rising channel that it has been traded since 2024. You can see between the 2 yellow line. So the hard thing is really to go back to this trading range, you know. Otherwise, the comeback also has been very strong from the low of April. You know, we talk about close to 24%, but nothing as impressive as the QQQ, the Max 7, and the SP 500. Otherwise, we can check the calendar if there is any economic data that we should know about. Today, nothing really important. Tomorrow, some retail sales number, manufacturing production. So retail sales number, it's quite important. So Wednesday, probably we have some job data with continuing jobless claim, initial jobless claim. And then after that, we have the interest rate decision on Wednesday, you know, very important. We have the Fed meeting on Wednesday. So very important day that we're going to find out what the Fed is thinking about the interest rate environment and where it's going forward with the interest rate, whether they're going to cut, they're not going to cut, whether they see enough room to cut. Maybe we're going to get a surprise cut, you know. Who knows? We're going to maybe have a surprise cut. But anyway, Wednesday is a big day for the market. Other than that, we forgot about the small cap. Small cap, you know, it's very dependent on interest rates. So if the Fed cut rates, just be aware that maybe the small cap we have finally it's rallied, that it has been waiting for so long. But who knows? We never know, you know. Small cap has been very, very disappointing. Very, very disappointing. Otherwise, when you look at the headlines, we know that there's been a lot of strikes against Iran from Israel, and it has been really devastated for Iran, but it doesn't really rock the market. The market is bullish. Whatever happened in the world, the market keeps going up and up and up and up. So the headlines is more about the Iran-Israel war and the fallout for oil price and so on and so on. But do you know, nothing at all anymore with tariffs and all the recession talk. I mean, Iran and Israel has taken the forefront of the headlines. So the market, you know, of course, they're trying to fearmonger, but it's not working, you know. You see, fear of uncertainty had S&P 500 back from record. No, it's real. So I think we're going to see the S&P and the QQQ breakout in the second half of the year. And we're going to see a good year again. I mean, who would have thought so? You know, we were collapsing by 20, 25%, 30%, and now we are back to like if nothing really happened. That's why you should always have a long-term view of your investment. You should invest in a strong company and then hold for the long term. And then you don't care about the up and down of the market. You just take benefit of the market when the VIX skyrockets and it's a high time, a very good time to buy. And then after that, you ride all things up. You know, that's exactly the same thing now. That's the same thing that happened in 2022. And that's the same thing that happened during the COVID 2020. And that's something that happened during 2008 as well, and so on and so on and so on. You know, I can name them. Always the same story. So I think we have done now we are done now with the market update. So I will probably do a video on few other stocks, but I wanted to catch up with all of you guys about the state of the market. Technically speaking, fundamentally speaking, we are a very good spot, and be ready for a breakout of the market probably during the summertime if nothing really strange happen, because there's low volume. Sometimes low volume help the market to go higher and higher. There's not much seller left in the market. They all sold during the low of April. Now a lot of fund managers are underweight. They are probably have not enough equity risk on the table, so they will buy, they will rage buy, they will panic buy, because this is what they have to do, you know. Otherwise, they're going to expand the massive underperformance to the clients, you know. Thanks so much for watching this video. Subscribe, like.